Hey everyone, quick question, and you can raise your hands in the comments. Let me know. Have you ever Googled how to lower cholesterol? And deep down, you knew it wasn't the real problem, right? So when I say it's not the real problem, you have to understand I'm talking mostly about LDL. If your triglycerides are high, that's the part of the cholesterol panel that we actually care about. It's a warning light. It's like a check engine light on your car, right? You can choose to ignore it, or you can figure out what's going on, pop the hood, try and fix what's actually broken, right? So this is blood work in general. Like if the things that are weird in your blood work in general, it's not in some circumstances it shouldn't actually be treated, but it is a potential warning sign that something is going wrong, right? So and what's going wrong? Well, when you think about it, if I had let's say a packet of oatmeal, like instant oatmeal in my left hand, and some a steak in my right, well, one of those foods causes inflammation and one heals it, or one at least doesn't cause it, right? But most of us, if I ask the average person on the street which is the healthier breakfast, oats or a steak, most people are going to give the wrong answer, like pretty predictably, right? So what I want to talk about today are these silent killers. So you can think about them as silent heart killers, or really it's about the whole system, right? So these are fake things, right? So the first thing is we are surrounded by fake light. And I'm looking at fake light. That's why I took my glasses off just now. You could see the reflection of that fake light in my glasses. We have no choice about it, right? We are living in this artificial light environment, okay? But the truth is that our arteries and our eyes and our brain, these all have light receptors. And morning sun, especially sun at various times during the day, morning sun can increase nitric oxide. Afternoon sun can increase vitamin D and other things. So, but if you're using that artificial light, you're really exposing yourself to blue light after dark, especially, you're increasing cortisol levels. You're increasing cortisol levels, you're increasing your blood pressure, you're making it more difficult to sleep. Lots of problems here, right? Now, there are studies that have been done on night shift workers. So these are workers who basically their sleep-wake cycle is completely destroyed, and they're around, by the nature of their work, they have to be in an artificially lighted environment nearly all the time. And we find that they have a significantly higher risk of heart disease, dementia, strokes, et cetera, right? So looking at that data point, like being very careful about, we can't eliminate, most of us are not in a position to eliminate exposure to fake light, but how can we minimize that fake light? And how can we actually be around natural light as much as possible? The sun is really the most important source of natural light, right? Number two is what I call fake movement. What do I mean by that? I mean, a lot of us are, first of all, if you're not doing any exercise at all, if you're not moving at all, anything is better than nothing. So I don't mean to criticize anyone here, but a lot of us are starting the day with, say, a 30-minute workout, and then we are, basically sitting at our desk for the remainder of the day, right? And what I would prefer to see, that's better than not doing the 30 minutes in the morning. But what I would prefer to see is to take breaks, to set alarms every hour, every 40 minutes, every 20 minutes, as often as you can. Get up, walk around, right? When I spent time with the so-called Khoisan people, I don't use that term, but they use the term Bushmen. When I spent the time with the Bushman people here in Southern Africa, they were basically like everything was happening outside. Everything was happening in the sunlight. Everything was happening in the context of moving. And that's why, they were healthy despite some pretty unhealthy habits. They used to drink a lot of Coca-Cola and smoke a lot of cigarettes over there, but they still were doing pretty well. Many of them were doing very well in the 70s and 80s and beyond, right? The third fake thing that I want to talk about is fake food, right? So if you talk about fake food, where can we start with thinking about that? 100 years ago or 200 years ago, people did have some access to sugar, right? But it was nowhere near the access to sugar that we have today. But they did not have the so-called heart-healthy seed oils. It still annoys the hell out of me that when I go to the grocery store, especially in the US, I think also here in South Africa, I try and avoid those middle aisles of the grocery store. But you still see these packets of like corn oil saying like heart healthy, or canola oil, or sunflower oil, with the little label that says heart healthy. These are industrial byproducts with an incredible amount of linoleic acid, omega-6. And those omega-6s, they may or may not be harmful on their own, but they get significantly oxidized by the process of just being put into those bottles, right? It's a 12 or 13 step process. I've looked at it in detail in the past. But if you're ingesting oxidized fats on a regular basis and thinking that your body is going to be able to turn that into energy through the mitochondrial process of, it's not energy actually, it's ATP, it's adenosine diphosphate getting phosphorylated into adenosine triphosphate. If you think that your body can do that with the seed oils, I mean, it can, but it's not going to be very good, right? So we do have data points that back this up. The data point that I like to cite is the Minnesota Heart study that was done supposedly to prove that lowering your cholesterol reduced your risk of heart disease. But in fact, when the data got released, that study was done in the 1970s. The data only got released 2015, 10 years ago. And we found out that actually the people on the Cornell group, their mortality went up significantly, right? So when we think about this and we think about what's going on, it's not that we're aging, we're kind of rusting. There's an oxidation that's happening because we are ingesting oxidized things that's causing a kind of rusting to happen to us inside. And I use that term almost, literally, because a big part of what our body needs, red blood cells need in particular, is iron. And iron is prone to rusting, is prone to oxidation, along with all the other proteins in our bloodstream and in our system, right? So the cure isn't really about the pill. The cure is about the habitat, the environment, the ecology, as we spoke about yesterday. So how do we actually put this into action? We want to delete the fake inputs, right? We want to put some boundaries around our blue light exposure. We want to put some boundaries around our vegetable oil exposure, maybe eliminate it altogether if that's possible. And then we want to restore. So step one is delete the fake inputs. Step two is we want to restore the human appropriate signals, right? So if we can get up and watch the sunrise, or at least get some exposure to early morning sunset, that'll be good for our circadian rhythms. If we can walk barefoot on the ground, that's great for something called grounding, which is, I won't get into that, but it's super important. When we put our feet on the ground, when we put our feet barefoot on the ground, our blood actually gets thinner, right? You hear about people taking a baby aspirin and other things to thin out the blood, but it can be as simple as simply just being grounded, right? And then the third thing is we got to upgrade our inner ecology. Now, this is a very complicated thing, but I want you to think of your body not as you. Your body is actually more not you than it is you. You have more bacteria, more bacterial DNA than you have human DNA in these physical structures that you call you, right? So I want you to think about, how are we going to care for that? How are we going to nurture those bacteria, that ecology? How are we going to make sure that it's in balance, right? And we have lots of stories of people who've come to us on various medications. We can pretty much get them off their blood pressure medications in conjunction with doctors and doing it in a safe way almost immediately. It takes a couple of days. Other things as well, it may take a little bit longer, but we can de-prescribe together with a physician, right? So that's the kind of process that I'm walking people through. Now, most people will listen to this discussion or listen to the interviews. I'm about to release a really great interview with Ira Sahai on my YouTube. Do check that out. But 95% of people listen to this and they don't make any changes. They'll wait for the chest pain. They'll wait till they have to get a stent. Maybe they'll wait for a funeral in the family. And only then will they actually take action. But if you're in the 5% of people who get it, do send me a text message. You can DM me the word heart. Let me know what's going on in your life. Let me know what motivates you, why you're going to prioritize your health. I do have a number of spots open this week for the Healthy Heart Blueprint. There's an application form as well. If you're seeing this on Instagram or Facebook, you can check out my bio. Otherwise, like I said, just send me a DM and I will send you the application to join. It's going to be an amazing course. It is an amazing course. People already love it. And this next cohort that we're going to start in about a week's time, it's really going to take it to the next level. So I'm excited about it. If you've been waiting to work with me, what are you waiting for? This is your chance. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.